welcome to World in a Frame, our little discussion group where we discuss movies from around the world. My name is Rasmus and I'm from Denmark. And as some of you may have noticed, we have a brand new member. So Julia, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Julia. I'm from Poland. I am a movie fan, not a professional at all. And I think what I'm kind of curious in cinema is like showing underprivileged groups of people and also like kind of pushing creative boundaries in cinema and arts in general.
Fantastic. We are so happy you are with us. Thomas?
Hello, I'm Thomas. I'm from Austria and I study film.
Hi, I'm Filipp. I'm from Russia, but I study economics and computer science in Italy. And I've also recently started studying film criticism online, so...
My name is Risha. I'm from London and I'm not studying anything. I just have a job.
Yeah, thank you for that. And Filipp, it was you who chose actually this time you chose two movies that you wanted us to watch and sort of compare because. Yeah, why? Maybe you should elaborate. What movies have we been watching?
We've been watching two movies by Roman Mikhaylov, Firebird and We Should Make Movies About Love. They were all made during one trip to Indian city Varanasi. And I chose them because I think they're great movies, first of all. And second of all, I think because the director, Roman Mikhaylov, is quite an eccentric figure in Russia who is quite an interesting phenomenon. He is a mathematician with good, great achievements. He is also a participant of some theater companies, was at least, and he is actually a theater director. He is a writer. He has written quite a few books, one of which was got a good literature prize in Russia. And he is also a film director. And he has made 10 movies in 5 years, which is very productive. And he is also a very eccentric personality with love for dance and card games. And he really loves India. He has been there quite a lot.
Это история любви чудесного молодого юноши, принцессы.
У меня мать в секту ушла.
А если я поеду ее найду?
Ты хочешь снять об этом кино, да?
Страшно, блин.
Речь идет о другой реальности.
When he was young, he experimented with certain religious cults, but as far as I know, he is now a Christian. And I think it's interesting to discuss what people from outside Russia think about his films. His films are very distinct from probably other Russian films. They are a little bit light in tone, I guess. And they are apolitical in the sense that they do not touch upon politics. They try to they're very spiritual. So it's interesting what you think about it. So basically, a Russian film crew is coming to Varanasi to make an art house movie. One of the actors, Mark, played by Mark Edelstein, who is famous for Nora. He falls in love with a girl named Sveta, which is connected to light. The name of her is connected to light, played by Daria Brukhanova. And the director, played by the director of the film himself, has a fallout with Sveta over her participation in the film. The whole message of the film is that people should try to make movies about love, and I think it's a great message.
Чувак, мы в Индию летим. Я вспомнил. Здорово, блин!
Я хочу снимать сказки и сны. Сказки, потому что там я никому ничего не буду должен, а сны, потому что это красиво.
अभी हम तेरे जाएंगे आसमान भगवान से बात करने वाले से मिलने के लिए. Случилось то, что у меня две прекрасные актрисы, и это событие, я вам скажу.
Есть другое событие.
Okay, so this film, it's called Firebird, which I was doing some Googling around and understand that it sort of features in Slavic mythology, and it's kind of like maybe people in at least in English-speaking culture, there's this mythical creature, the phoenix, which symbolizes rebirth and things. And I think there's something similar there. And it's some features in some folk tales, which are kind of have this similar thread of a hero's journey and things. So that's interesting. And so in the film itself, it's and I guess that theme, there's this setting. Again, it's set in India, and there's a woman there who who's part of this theatre troupe, and I hope I'm getting this right. And she also understands that her mother, a long time ago, went to India, and so she's kind of, she's sort of wants to discover what happened to her and to find her. And I guess that by the end of the film, she is it some kind of shaman character? I didn't understand who this little kid was at the end. Basically, the woman discovers that her mother was never there, that she died when she was little, but that spiritually she was sort of with her all this time, and that there was a bird that visited her when she was a kid or something, and this was sort of some kind of spirit. The spirit of her mother was this bird. I think that's the size of it. So it's this girl's, a woman, I should say, process of, I guess, processing what happened with her mother and processing the loss of her mother. And then there's some kind of rebirth theme there as well. and it ends on this upbeat note, which suggests that she's kind of come to terms with things. That was my interpretation, and I feel like maybe I've got something wrong there, but it was, it's this sort of style where it's very loose.
I mean, it's now, of course, difficult to know where to begin. I mean, one film is complicated enough, but talking about two, I hope I'm not getting mixed up and stuff. But I guess let's start with Firebird. Is that fine for everyone? So I think this is the better of the two films, or at least I liked it better, which is kind of funny considering the circumstances. Me and also Julia had to watch it because we watched it via screen share of Filipp, who streamed the film for us. Allegedly, I suppose, for legal reasons. No, but yes, it was a difficult watching experience, but I still like this film to an extent. I mean, it has all the quirks of like a quickly produced indie film, of course. Same with we should make movies about love. They both have this kind of distinct look of like small crew, probably one camera, probably not a lot of equipment and stuff. But I like the concept of this film because, I mean, the story, it follows, as you already mentioned, this theater group and also this one woman in particular who is searching for her mother. And the film uses this motive of light in a kind of double meaning, like the literal light of the theater and of the stage, and the spiritual light that she's also looking for, this enlightenment. And the film, this is what I like most about this film, I think, is how it really floods its images with light. Like in almost every scene, you have a really harsh light source basically shining directly at the camera at some point or another. And it highlights this kind of, in my opinion at least, this double function of light to make things visible, but also to blind you at the same time and obscure the vision again. The only thing about that is that I'm not sure how much the film actually does with it, like on a more substantial level, I guess. But again, I'm pretty sure a lot of this film went over my head due to multiple reasons, of course, cultural and also the way we watched it and so on. But yeah, that was one of the main things that stuck in my head, the way the film uses light and talks about it.
Yeah, from my side, maybe I can just jump quickly. Like this light also reminded me of Kieślowski trilogy, where the light, they also use a lot of like lights and like with the blue, there is like a lot of blue light, etc. So it kind of reminded me of that. And also like the title itself, Firebird, it reminded me of this like Stravinsky concert, right? But then Filipp was quick to tell me that it has nothing to do with that. I also like this blending of cultures. So there was this distinctive scene at the concert where there is like a lot of Hindi people. And then there's this like Russian music singing about Ganges. I think that's what I put down. I think the movie also kind of introduces a lot of those subjects.
Я потерял кого-то в полночном закулисье, где модницы в остротах получше звуки лисьи. Меня лизали сплетни, как лезвия крапивы. Были мои песни болезненно красивые. Сука, сколько стоят деньги, сколько стоят слова, и сколько стоят деньги, сколько стоят слова.
I was just also thinking about this kind of scene that you already mentioned, Dorit, about like the final scene with the fire being also another type of light, and how throughout the whole film, as you mentioned, Thomas, we have this like artificial light, but then like the final scene is also like has some type of light in it, but it's this natural type of coming from fire. So this is also something that I just noticed and I kind of put down. And yeah, maybe also for me, because we're like in between theater and we're talking about cults, and I was also wondering if the film is not kind of asking us about those type of places where we should be able to be seen and have some community like theater. How also is it related to maybe cults? And so this is also like some questions that I put down for myself while watching.
This is one of the reasons that that I really like doing this, because these discussions that we're having is sort of heightening the level of understanding of the movie. Because I must admit, when I watched it, I did not like it that much. There were some very good things in it. The best thing I think were the actors, the young actors. I think they were really great, young, energetic, talented, and so on. And I thought their performances was the best thing of the movie. And then I also think the movie had many interesting ideas, and also this that we are constantly, or at least I was thinking that it's sort of like they are making this movie and it jumps in and out, and you never really know, is this them making the movie, or it's like the Monty Python movie where they discover they are being filmed everybody, and that sort of jumps in and out of that. And I liked the idea of that, but the execution of the movie and the way it handled many of these ideas, I'm not sure that I really liked it. And Thomas, that's also some of the things that you touched upon. Something for me is not working. When I watched it, it never touched me emotionally in any way, even though the story is sort of personal and all of these things, but it did nothing for me. So
yeah, of course, I think there is this connection between different communities that are like niche, like cults or some kind of theater groups. Although, I mean, it's not a very niche group, because the theater actresses are at a large theater in St. Petersburg, but still it's kind of a niche community of actors, and there's a lot of layers in the movie. Some of them are done at like visual level, some are done at the level of a script. When it comes to visual stuff, it was largely inspired by photography of Valentin Samarin, and the photography technique he invented called Sankey, which is it's a little bit esoteric, I guess. It's supposed to uncover what isn't visible with usual photography. And the cinematographer of this film is really fascinated with Samarin. He's also fascinated with Tarkovsky, and the director of the film, Roman Mikhaylov, is fascinated with David Lynch. And also there's this concept of right image by Steven Shafiro that is mentioned in the film in Firebird. And then there is this clip of rapper Husky's street concert that is edited together with footage of cremation. I think it's a great example of what right image is. Yeah, in the film they talk about that the movie that they are making are supposed to have 3 layers: documentary, dreamy, and ritualistic. And I guess it kind of relates to the film itself. And in the We Should Make Movies About Love, one of the people in Varanasi, Russian people in Varanasi, says that I want to shoot fairy tales and dream fairy tales because I don't owe anyone anything, and dreams because it's beautiful. And that's one of the many things.
I mean, Philip, can you maybe expand on what you were talking about with this like photography technique? I'd be interested to hear like what that means in detail, if you know.
In the Firebird, you see some of the photos that are in the beginning, in this underground bunker, so-called catacombs. You also see the photographer himself. He's, he was very old. Now he's already dead. But when you see these catacomb scenes, it's full of these photographies, and probably we can include some of them to show our audience so that they can understand more. But basically, it's the way I can describe them is that they look very strange. And also the film was made in contre-jour technique, which apparently, according to film history classes, were invented by Danish pioneers of silent cinema like Holger Madsen and I think Benjamin Christensen. I don't know whether it's true, but that's what we were told. And I think contre-jour, I don't know about Samarin's photography technique. Probably there's also experiment with that, maybe contre-jour in photography. But
I also noticed this that pretty much every frame sort of has this blurry effect or something, and in the end, I must admit, I thought it was too much. So it was like, I don't know, trying too hard. But then again, you mentioned Risha, it was you that sort of brought up that. The idea of this Firebird and the mythological stuff and so on. So it's there is sort of a reason behind that they make these effects, and it's not just because when I watched it, I just thought, oh, he's trying to be. We have to be very artsy, and so try and make every scene sort of have some effect and blurriness, and it was, for me, it just ended up being sort of him trying too hard to be art house or something.
It was, I mean, it's quite a strong choice. So when you come into the film, it's sort of like you just want someone to kind of wipe the camera with a cloth a little bit. But then, I mean, there's a lot of things that you guys have mentioned that didn't occur to me. So this is really interesting. And I think, I got a little bit of a sense that there's a lot kind of that Mikhaylov wanted to kind of pack into the film. But I also was aware that, oh my God, I don't know much about sort of, had the interplay with like the spiritualism and Russian religion and the Indian spiritual tradition. And I was kind of thinking about that and just sort of aware that probably there's a lot that I don't really understand here. But in terms of the sort of the blurry camera effect, something that you guys just said about the light, feature of the film or films, it had some interplay with that. I would say, and maybe is related to that and kind of trying to kind of bring that out in some way. Something that I would like to mention actually is that I did really like the way that it seemed like parts were quite improvised and other parts were, were very sort of definite ideas that the writer wanted to present, and the actors were almost sort of soliloquizing. Sorry, I don't know how to sort of, giving little mini speeches on some kind of concrete ideas, and I really enjoyed those. I think that I noticed. So Filipp, there was a TV show, and I think it's with the same group of actors that you recommended a while ago. That was Journey to the Sun and Back, or something like that. I don't know if that's and I did end up watching quite a lot of that, and that's the element of that TV series that I thought was really enjoyable. Just like nothing kind of concrete is happening, but there's a lot of philosophizing, but actually done in a very interesting way. So that's the part of this film that I thought was really interesting, and I thought it was also very natural. I know, Rasmus, you mentioned that the acting, but that's something I found was just a real pleasure to watch these actors.
I probably, like, when it comes to light, and I think they mentioned in We Should Make Movies About Love that about unfilmable life in which one should dissolve, and there's like a lot of fog, and I think that's what the aesthetic choices were meant to be. So all this light was meant to show this. I don't know whether he achieved. For me, I think he did achieve a lot in that regard, but I can understand that it also depends on perspective and background, and also I know Julia and Thomas watched in a low quality version, and Thomas and Julia, what do you think about light and?
I mean, you all made some good points. I guess my problem with the film and with a lot of films like it is that it has all these like grand concepts that sound really nice on paper, but it's very difficult to make like a really cohesive and tight film around it. And both of these films that we watch, they feel to me very loose. Like they have all these different, like paths they kind of want to go down on, but they can't really decide what to specifically focus on, or maybe they don't want to focus on anything, which is again fine in theory, but like I don't know, that makes it difficult for me to like really connect with the film. on a deeper level. So yeah, maybe there are these great ideas about light and mythology and religion and art in there, but the way it's executed, it at least to me doesn't feel like there was like, I don't know, like the director knew exactly how to kind of make a sculpture out of this marvel of ideas that he has.
Yeah, I kind of also think the same, and I think it's fine if like movies are touching on subject that we don't know, right? But I think the need for the movie to encourage us to go and do all this research, then the movie needs to be encouraging enough for us to do this extra work. And I did I did a little bit, but yeah, I think also like there was a lot of those topics that I also mentioned that I also didn't know where to focus. Yeah.
Also, I think when it comes to Firebird, the thing that we didn't touch upon is that I think the heart of the movie is basically there is this girl, if I remember her name correctly. Yeah, Sasha. And she was told by her grandmother that her mother went to a cow with India. First, she was told that her mother was taken away by a firebird. And then she was told that actually she was taken away. She went away to India to the scout, and there's this address that she's given in Varanasi. And, you know, she goes there with her half brother, Lyosha, who wants to make a movie about, you know, searching for this mother in the sect. And in the end, when we end up in Varanasi, the fact that Roman Mikhaylov is trying to achieve is shown this place where the world of the living and the world of the dead, there's a very blurred line between it. And all this stuff about, you know, gangs and this fishing rods and all this rehearsal of meeting with a mom, and then the final scene where, spoiler alert, Sasha, in fact, her mother died, and everyone thought that she went away to a sect in India, but as a bird, this mother always came to her daughter close to her window every day. So basically, the movie is about Sasha trying to reconcile with, to learn about and then reconcile with mother's death, basically. With her mother basically being not there with her, not watching her grow up, and that's the way she reconciles. But yeah.
Yeah, but for me, actually, because from throughout the whole movie, for me, although there is this play of the like play between the ideas, whether the mother is alive or dead, I think it's quite evident that, at least for me, it was always evident that she's actually dead. And when there was this note that you just mentioned at the end of the movie, I forgot about this. So because it was in Russian, right? So I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And then I went back to read what you translated, and I was like, okay, but I understood. Like for me, the director, I don't like this times when the directors are telling us about the story more. And yeah, here I think I would have preferred the movie to not have this note, because I just felt like I don't like when directors are doing it sometimes, when they're explaining certain things too much. So yeah, for me here, actually, I would have preferred without that note. I don't know how others think.
It's an interesting idea because I was surprised of this movie. I thought like, yeah, probably Schwentes act. It's okay. It's
Okay, yeah, okay, interesting.
yeah, but and I think this note is kind of a closure for Sasha. Yeah, she went through this journey, and this is the end to this journey. She found her mom in a sense, and in the end we see her, in St. Petersburg dancing, and I think it's like up, 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 and then down. As far as I know, it's like a traditional hero's journey, but in a sense, in this way, this movie is traditional because there's a traditional hero's journey. But and Rasmus, what do you think about?
Oh, I was just thinking about something else because Risha touched upon a point that some of the scenes felt more or less improvised, and I don't know if you know anything about is that the case, because it's hard for me to judge if the film is actually made very structured and with the director really sort of giving orders, quote unquote, have everything planned, or is it more loosely made? I don't know if you know anything about it, but I just, for some reason, I keep thinking about that because I thought it was quite interesting because I couldn't figure it out myself.
Yeah, I think the way I heard interviews with actors and actresses that Roman Mikhaylov, unusually for Russian film scenes, gives quite a lot of freedom to actors and actresses to interpret his or her scenes. Probably the dialogues were, of course, scripted, but probably we were allowed to go a little bit outside of that, like written dialogues, and probably they were allowed more freedom to when it comes to like delivery of them. And yeah, it's great that it shows in this film.
Yeah,
I didn't notice. Yeah.
Yeah, and it requires the actors to be very talented to fill the space for that kind of approach.
Yeah, and I think the actors and actresses, most of them are from theater, as far as I know, at least some of them. And apparently, at least in Russian theater, there's much more freedom there for actors and actresses to have like good roles than in film. And probably there's more freedom also for directors because you don't need as much budget to make a theater play than to make a movie. And
so I was just going to say that I thought it was interesting when someone said about the film being unconventional in the way that it meant that you had to sort of, well, for me anyway, I had to kind of spend a lot of energy working out what was going on and figuring out what trying to get into the style of the film, into the world of that film, which is as you said, kind of unconventional. Yeah, I thought also, I'm not sure if anyone has said this up to now, but the we should make films about love film, I guess, is also a film about the process of making stuff, making things, and having a sort of a strict idea of what you want creatively, and then needing to adapt to circumstances or human factors. And I thought that the idea of like when you, or the sense that you have when you're watching this film of it going in different directions, I think kind of it helps that idea in a way. And I was thinking, does anybody have examples of films? What films did these two films remind you of? Films about filmmaking, I think that might be something quite interesting to give some examples of, or films where I don't know, the kind of the same kind of quality of acting with where improvisation is done really well. So those are maybe things, questions that I had for you guys.
Personally, I think at least thematically, not really, but thematically, Roman Mikhaylov's films are very similar to that of Alice Rohrwacher, especially her earlier ones. And I think they also focus on the concept of, on spiritual concepts, on the boundary between life and death. Although Alice Rohrwacher's films also interrogate ecology and capitalism.
The film that I mentioned one other episode, which is Bellatar's Family Nest, which it's a highly improvisational and also uses not professional actors, at least at that stage, and I found it really impressive, and I couldn't quite work out how it was done, so that's one of my recommendations. And then a film that I haven't actually seen yet, but I really want to see it, which is Fassbinder's Beware a Holy Whore, which I believe is on the same sort of theme of making a film and this kind of stuff. So I don't know if anyone else has any recommendations.
Well, I have, and it's also on this improvisation. It's a Danish movie called Let's Get Lost. Not to be confused, there's another movie with the same name, but from 1997. And unfortunately, it was quite overlooked. Also in Denmark when it came out, because it was the same year that the first Dogma movie came out, The Celebration, and it sort of everybody talked about that one. But it's made by a guy named Jonas Elmer, and it features many later of the big sort of movie stars in Denmark as their first feature film, and everything in it is improvised. They started 2 weeks rehearsing, playing their parts, and sort of just interacting with each other and getting into character, and then they just started filming. And it is very interesting and quite funny, and it sort of, for me, it's very nostalgic, because it takes me back to they are sort of my age, so they take me back to the time in the late 90s when I was 20 years old, and all the atmosphere there is around being young at that time. It really sort of grabs the spirit of that time in a very very good way. Actually I did sort of think about that this movie when watching this movie here, because of again the young actors being so great. So that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, I guess if you want to watch another film about a filmmaking where the film within the film never really comes to be as far as we realize, I of course recommend 8.5 by Federico Fellini, which I recently had a seminar on it, and it's such a grand, fascinating film, highly complex, and in my opinion, far superior to the two films we talked about today. Of course, it's a classic, like everyone knows it already, but still highly recommended.
My favorite movie of all time.
Yeah, I actually don't have anything in mind, but yeah, just like I mentioned, this play with light, I think in Kieślowski trilogy. I was also just thinking about this when I was watching Firebird.
Yeah, I think also a final note to discuss. One of the professors at film criticism program recently said that nowadays our generation doesn't know what it means to be young. And I think in these films, Roman Mikhaylov tries to show how young people try to be young and become adults, and encounter with them makes one an adult. What do you think about it?
I sometimes hear this idea that young people these days don't know how to have fun. I find it kind of strange. Like, I think, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but it's sort of like a red rag to a bull type of thing for me, where I'm not talking about film now, but I'm just talking about generally older generations. It's tempting to look at young generations and be like, they're not doing it right, or but you're not in that culture, so how the hell would you know what they're doing, really? And I really strongly suspect, just based on other types of knowledge of like past cultural changes and things, that this is a feature of every single generation when they get older, and they start to judge the younger generation, and in various ways, I guess most maybe presciently, the current circumstances, like technologically, or so that's what I think about that.
So you are saying that that in reality that the grunge movement of the 90s were not the last of real true youth movements around? Wow.
I know it's hard to believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, of course I agree with both of you, and the funny thing about that is, of course, that when I'm your age, I'm gonna be saying the same thing probably about the next people.
No, don't.
Never break the cycle, never stop the system. No, but really though, I agree. I think it's a really interesting paradox to think about that, like everyone has been young, but no one really knows what it's like to be young, because for the young people, of course, it's just their state of being, and the older people have nothing but memory to look back on, which of course is heavily filtered and so on. So yeah, no one really knows what it's like to be young, so how can we really blame the film for not portraying it correctly? But
Yeah, just in this movie, I think it was just interesting when Roman, director, he said, literature works with
Yeah.
imagination, and cinema doesn't work with imagination, and because of that, it's put in the disadvantageous position, and that layering is necessary. So I just thought that it was interesting that the director was also like talking about comparing literature with cinema. And this was actually contrary to what I always was kind of thinking, that cinema, because you can use light, because you can use image, because you can use sound, that it like enhances the artwork and it's a little bit like can bring your whole vision to life. But here it was just interesting that the director was saying that actually for him literature kind of is superior form because of this like it evokes the imagination. So yeah, just wanted to share that.
But I think it's harder to imagine things that are written on a page than shown on a screen, and of course the reader has much more freedom when he's reading. And as far as I know, Roman was for a long time critical of cinema because there was less freedom in cinema. But I think his experimentation with style is also partially caused by the goal of giving a viewer freedom to interpret what he sees.
Okay, that makes kind of a lot of sense, like based on everything that we also just said, why he's actually making cinema like this. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say, of course, I think it's completely wrong that cinema doesn't work with the imagination. I also think it's kind of almost nonsensical to compare like two different art forms, because you can't translate images to written text and kind of look at the comparison, which one works better, the written down version of the image of the cinema. It's completely incomprehensible to me. And of course also very famously, the thing that distinguished cinema as an art form, at least in the early days, when film theorists were first trying to defend cinema as a new art form and so on, they went to montage, so the ability to show two images next to each other, which is still such a fundamental part of like film theory. Godard has this wonderful quote, I can't quote it perfectly, but he basically says, every image consists of two images, and that's the third image. It sounds more mystical than it really is. What he means is that if you want a cinematic image, you need two images, and only in the contrast of the two can a new idea really happen. It's almost Hegelian in that sense, or dialectical in that sense. Only when you've seen the image that comes after it can you really see the first image. And there is a lot of imagination involved with that, in my opinion. Okay, but that's really it from me.
Of course, I agree with you.
Then I will just add that if one's interested in these connections between different art forms, I really think that people should read Tarkovsky's Sculpting in Time, because he really elaborates on sort of like painting and music and writing and so on, and the differences between the art forms and what makes cinema special in relation to these. It's very fascinating to read. Not that I agree on everything with him, but he's highly entertaining, and it's a good read.
And also, if one is interested in connection between different art forms, some of the Sakharov's films, Alexander Sakharov's films, also touch on that. But
if I can make one more point, I don't know if we are about to wrap things up, but I feel like we haven't talked about we should make movies about love as much as we did about the Firebird. So I just want to give my opinion on that movie as well, because I think one of the issues that I had with Firebird is one that, which we already talked about, that it's like very loose. It's kind of difficult to extract exactly what singular point the film is trying to make or whatever. I think we should make movies about love does this better, in the sense that it's literally in the title and so on. Because yes, with this film, I really liked the core of it and the core concept, and not so much everything around it, like the whole cliche romance story and whatever. But what I did like about it was that we have a lot of movies about people making films and so on. That's an obvious topic to make a film about, of course, this self-reflection and so on. But in most cases, it kind of revolves around the artwork being really elevated, like everything revolves around making the movie, because of course to a filmmaker, a film is hopefully somewhat sacred in a sense. But what I found interesting about this film is that the conclusion is, no, we scrapped this film we were trying to make because something more important is happening, this young love, which is really the center of the whole story. Like, yes, we've spent all this time like preparing this film. Suddenly the main actor shows up, everyone is in chaos and so on. But then the director himself even realizes, okay, no, this is more important. And if we're going to make a movie, we're going to make this movie about love. And I think, as Filipp already mentioned, I do think that's kind of a beautiful conclusion to come to.
I think it's also a great conclusion to our episode. So
let's just jump to our final and just say thank you everybody for listening. This has once again been fun, and like and subscribe, and I hope to that everybody will be back for the next episode. So bye.
Bye.
Bye.